Hello and welcome to the new edition of the HbbTV Webinar series, the summer edition, one could say, and also the last edition before we take a usual break in August. We've got a great topic for you today, HbbTV in DVB I environment. So it's two great worlds and communities that we're discussing today, HbbTV and DVB I. DVB I is probably one of the hottest topics in our industry at the moment. You've probably been aware of the lots of trials that are going on already across Europe. There's one in Germany, one in Italy, and one in Ireland, or even experiments and tests in Ireland. And we've got the three project heads with us today, detailing their experiences, challenges they had, and the next steps in their local ventures. And as usual, you'll be able to post your questions to the speakers following the presentations. So please use the little toolbox you can see here on the screen in this live webinar to send us your questions, and we'll be happy to pick them up and discuss them in the last 15 minutes following the presentations. And as I was saying, it's a great topic and there's lots of interest, and I can reveal that we've got a record number of registrations today to watch this webinar live. 218 people have registered, and don't worry if you can't make it, or if you'd like to share that with a colleague who's not able to watch us live, there'll be a YouTube recording for you, and the link to the recording will be sent to everybody who registered later on tonight. As I was saying, great topic, great speakers. Before that, very quickly, the usual disclaimer: the presentations represent the views of the presenters and the companies they represent, and not necessarily the views of the HbbTV Association. 3 countries for you. The first is Germany. I'd like to welcome Remo Vogel from RBB and ARD, the German public broadcaster, and he's the project manager of the German DVB I pilot. Hi, Remo. Now we go to Italy, where Stefano Braghieri is waiting for us from RTI-Mediaset, and he's from the Innovation and Technical Research Department, and he's also having to deal a lot with the trial there. Hello, Stefano.
Hello, hi everybody.
And the third speaker is from Ireland, from RTE, the public broadcaster over there, and he's the business development manager of the DTT platform, Saorview. Hi, Jim.
Good afternoon.
Let's start with you, Remo. We've all heard a lot probably about the German DVB I pilot, and we're keen on hearing more about it. And of course, there's a second stage being prepared at the moment. I think it's launching around IPC in September this year. So we're very keen on hearing from you the latest updates. Welcome.
Yeah, great, thanks. Thanks, guys. I just try one thing here.
We can see the presentation already.
Yes, and I just try to get a full screen.
Okay. I think it was better a moment ago. That was full screen. Okay, have we lost you? Can you hear us, Remo? I think your picture is frozen. You can't hear us anymore. Let me just quickly check whether you're still in the attendee list. Yes, you still seem to be listed. Okay, let's wait a quick moment. Otherwise, I would suggest we'll move on to Stefano and let Remo sort out the technical problems first, and then we hear from the German project after Italy. Okay, Stefano, are you ready for your presentation?
We are planning the next phase, which shall start.
Oh, no, sorry, we're back. Remo, we can hear you again.
Remo, you're back.
You're back. This is live. Remo, we've lost you and your presentation for a moment.
Okay, does it work again?
Yes, can you please skip back to the first slide and then we'll start all over. Okay. Stefano was just ready to jump in. Okay, so everybody, let's get started again with Remo. Second try, and good luck.
Oh, thanks. No, I'm happy to give you an overview about German DVB I pilot and the way we use HbbTV within the pilot. A few of you are aware we started this pilot at IBC last year, where we brought a few companies together which are interested in DVB-I and making a progress in DVB-I. We set up some DVB-I scenario in the sandbox with the idea to prove the concept, to validate the concept, to see, okay, there are issues, technical issues, what has to be solved. And we already finished this first phase, and we want to set up the next phase with IBC this year, where we want to go in a consolidation phase and see what blockers have to be solved to get DVB-I on the ground. As I told you, we've set up some consortium where we just try to get together all the main players for German market, which is of course a public service broadcast, ARD and ZDF, and which is a private broadcast. This was quite an important criterion for us to have cooperation between private and public service. So we got RTL and Sat.1 Pro7. And another important criterion for us was just to it's easy to show DVB-I on or just to show OTT service on a mobile device, to show it on a web browser or wherever. But we wanted to show and demonstrate a hybrid world. That's why it was important to get real TV manufacturers on board. We found a few ones which are supporting DVB-I. And further, we've got a few technology companies which are main players for German market together, just to set up this pilot. Within this pilot, we've set up a certain set of features where we think, okay, this is necessary. This is of course HbbTV. I come back on this. Second one was DRM. And then we set up event channels, which are pop-up channels, maybe for Olympic Games. We have 10 more, ZDF has 10 more sports channels, and we just want to add them to the TV set. Another important thing for us was to show regionalization and so opportunities for regionalization within DVB-I. We've got all the EPG stuff with linking to media libraries. We've got new ways to present channels which are playlist based. Further, we've added the radio stuff, which is already shown at DVBS. That's why our idea it was okay just to transfer this radio world to DVB-I too. And we gathered all this together in a single service list. Here you see some device. This is a DVB-I prototype device, and our service offer is still something like 73 services. This is a full-featured television experience. I'm just using DVB-I, nothing else anymore. As I said, we've got the public, the private broadcast, we've got all this regional stuff in radio. It's working out of the box quite perfect already. This was quite a successful first phase, and that's why we decided to go further. Of course, DVB-I isn't just working on a TV device. It's as I already told you, it's working on mobile devices, on set-top boxes, on desktops. This is an Android watch replaying a full HD stream of Das Erste in Germany. But it's important to say, in the context of today's session, this is a non-Hbb device. And on the midterm, this device won't support HbbTV. As there's a world beyond, and we have to care for this too. Here is the way we aggregate our service list. Basically, our idea for the German market is we have a single service list which aggregates all the parts from all the broadcasters and broadcast groups. I will just go shortly through this. There is an ARD list which is done by the ARD Playout Center, and there we we provide all ARD channels. The same is done for Pro7 and for RTL. At ZDF, we placed more exotic experimental stuff like live streams which have to be scheduled and playlists which have to be generated. This is more experimental stuff, while ZDF is more in a development state and use this for this experimental stuff. The ARD stuff is already in the production system implemented. And on the right, we've got the BMT, which is more small Bavarian operator, which provides a good set of local regional channels which are important for our pilot. All these channels are aggregated in an aggregator. Every party is sending his parts to the aggregator. The aggregator collects them and creates a single list out of it. What we haven't done at this stage, all the LCN lists, the regionalization is added manually on top. We didn't trust each other and not ourselves. That's why we just added it manually. In the next stage, we want to do this with a proper management system. All this action is well reported in a pilot phase 1 report. The setup is very detailed, descriptive, and so on. Just go for the report. There you find there you can learn more. The next step, I told you we want to go further from IBC this year. The main idea is to define and implement the technical and organizational infrastructure for DVB I deployment in Germany. This means, okay, there has to be done regulatory framework. We want to implement the public value list, which is already available from the German Medienanstalten. We want to implement the regionalization on a national scale. We already demonstrated this, but this was just a demo with 5, 6, 7 regions. Maybe there are hundreds in future. We want to show this completely, and we already, I can forecast for IBC. We want to show a full-scale regionalization system. We want to add DVB-S tuning parameters. In future, we won't see any scan anymore at the device because the tuning parameters are already within the service list. So just the startup can be scanless, or the move of a channel within a transponder or to another transponder. There's no additional scan anymore necessary. We want to integrate DVB-DT2 because DVT is important for us too. We want to make some offer for CSR or service registry for Germany, and of course privacy requirements are a big topic for us. Another very important thing are the business models for operators of private broadcast. We already were able to show a DRM demo in the first pilot phase. We saw, okay, there are HbbTV related issues. It's a basic idea to realize DRM. The movement is just to set up a channel with the DRM application which handles the DRM stream. But this DRM application is a HbbTV application. There's just one HbbTV application allowed in the life cycle, so there was no broadcaster auto start application anymore possible. So we have to find another solution. This is in discussion and development within DVB. Another important topic is the subscription handling. Of course, there are operators for German media broadcast, or of course SES and others, and we need proper business models for these guys to join the DVB I scenario. Another important thing is we think that fast providers are an upcoming topic, and for them it's quite interesting because they have no except of paying big companies, they have no way to get into the TV device. So for fast, it's quite interesting, and maybe they can push our topic As I told you, I want to explain a little bit how we use HbbTV. Of course, the first thing is there is a classic service-bound use for HbbTV auto-start applications, but I just want to list it here. This is not just for us, it's not just a simple application which allows us some linking to a media library. There's quite much more. We add accessibility features like subtitles, all these accessibility settings, and so on. This is all done within this application. Of course, there are further standalone applications like the media library or show-related applications, and so on. And there is enhanced stuff like audio substitution. We have plans to deploy technologies to make audio available via second devices and so on. Or there's a replay function where you can just go 10 minutes back in the time. Of course, there is stuff like quality matrix, audience measurement. All this is done with the HbbTV stack. It's quite important also for us to have HbbTV available for classic, normal, linear service. This is a big topic for us. Another option is to use HbbTV as a channel. A service instance at DVB I can be an HbbTV application which is doing anything, which can present media or could be a game or whatever. And of course, examples can be, there's a DIM player, as we shown in our pilot. There can be a fast player where it's interesting, this fast player can implement all this ad exchange functionality, analytics, and so on within the application. There are playlist channels, or there could be a media library, could have become an own channel. And for Germany, the public value list already foresees the Mediathek, gives the Mediathek an own channel. There are visual radio apps, which are enhancing radio stations, and we showed this in the German pilot too. Basically, as I say, any application is up to your creativity, can be done as a channel. Here you see some other use case. In DVB I, there's an opportunity to link applications directly from the EPG or from so-called box sets. If you take a look at this EPG at ZDF, there's a play icon. If you select this play icon, the application redirects you to the ZDF HbbTV media library and replays the content you choose. This is quite interesting to connect from the linear to the non-linear world. Below, there's another use case. This is a box set where you see videos which are related to the current show, and where you can even, it's the same pattern, you link to the media library again, but DVB I gives you an entry point which is related to the linear program. It's interesting to see sometimes, or we are now in a, you all know DVB I is in a developing state, and we still have to decide for a few things how to implement this. DVB I gives us lots of opportunities, but sometimes it's interesting to compare the native opportunities of DVB I versus HbbTV implementation. I've just done this for two cases here. One is the implementation of playlists. A playlist is some semi-linear format. Could be a channel which says, okay, this is just children content, and the playlist would just, you start entering this and you just replay one child video after the other. The DVB I foresees an option to implement playlists, but this is quite simple at the moment. The the pro for this is would be a common UI for all channels, even from every distributor. But there is no single sign-on. There is no state which is kept. When you switch off and get back to the playlist, and you're starting from the beginning again, and so on. And but all this stuff can be done with HbbTV. If you implement a playlist as a HbbTV application, you can integrate this in your complete media library. You can create a cross-platform experience with playlists, which you manage at another platform and just watch it on the TV set. You've got the single sign-on. You've got a complete user management on all this stuff, and it's really up for decision how to integrate this. For the German market of ARD, I see the HbbTV version working because it is from our point of view, this makes more sense than a native implementation. Basically, another scenario is a dynamic switch between towards UHD. Just the use case would be maybe we've got a standard HD playout, but in the evening we've got a nice movie which is available as a UHD version. DVB I for these options to signal UHD and to do it on time-based. But here we face a few issues. It's not the good thing is we don't need any more F4, we don't need app and so on. But it's not precise. There would be some switch in the user journey, maybe a few seconds missing, or a few seconds would be repeated, or something like this. All this stuff has to be updated through the systems. The client would need to check all the time if there are updates. If you are doing this with HbbTV, we could ad hoc trigger changes, could switch to a UHD service, could show messages to the user which correspond to the switch, and so on. And this could be, from my point of view, maybe the HbbTV version is a better one, but we really have to find out, and we have to test this at our trial for a few of our use cases, which versions are better. Yeah, thanks for this. I hope you've got slightly an overview what we are doing here, especially in relation to HbbTV. If somebody is interested in the German trial, since we are starting the new phase and we are even looking for who could be interested to join this trial, we are open for discussion.
Great. Many thanks for these insights from Germany. That was Remo from Berlin. He'll be back at the end of the session for the Q&A. This reminds me, of course, to ask everybody to submit their questions through the toolbox you can see here on the screen. If you have questions for the speakers, they'll be happy to discuss them at the end of the session. So let's move on to Italy now, where Stefano is waiting for us with a presentation on the Italian DVB I project. We can see the screen already. Now it's in presentation mode, and we just Cam, Stefano, welcome.
Everything is okay?
Yes, all working fine. We're keen on hearing from Italy.
Good. Hello once again, everybody. And again, as for the title, I introduced you how in Mediaset HbbTV match the DVB I in order to provide the final user a complete solution to access to IP linear services. These are the topics I will speak about. A short introduction, a short overview about what we did since the beginning of 2020 and what we are going to do, and then the view about the decision we took about the relation between DVB I and HbbTV. So let's start. This is let me say a slide that most of you maybe already seen in different way, represent what we did since the beginning of 2020. We started with a real POC, only with the support of TP Vision at that time. But over the time, the POC becomes more and more organized. And during this period, we created and we set up a full end-to-end chain in order to test in a near real environment all the pieces of the services. As you can see, during this period, a lot of new partners joined the POC from all the part of the chain. So we got new broadcaster, we got different TV set manufacturer, service provider, for example, for the providing of the CSR, and also other technology provider, for example, Fincons Group that provided us full support to develop the HbbTV application. During all this time, we developed a lot of use cases. This is a very brief list of them, starting from the basic one, for example, the creation of the hybrid and a unique channel list, of course, accessing to the central service registry, and also more complicated one. Just let me speak about the multicast ABR and the content protection by means of DRM, which, as we can see after, is the main topic at the beginning for the choose to switch to use HbbTV application. What is quite important is to remark that all the activity has been run in fully agreement with all the partners that play with us within the POC. It means that all the functionality has been decided and agreed with all the partners. This led us to the creation of the what we call the baseline requirement at the beginning, and then when we started to speak with the German guys from the German pilot, we create a common profile that provide the common functionality and a common profile for all the use cases we created together. More important is that such a common profile, such a common profile became part of the new specification of the DVB I, the revision 5, which has been published few days ago, let me say in this way. Having available the new specification from HbbTV, so the core 2.0.4, and also this new revision from the DVB I, allow us to continue our activities, also again basing our work on standards. So for Mediaset, it's quite important to work in an horizontal market, so avoiding in any case, in any way, to have a vertical solution. What we are going to do is, of course, we will continue to run the POC, what we call POC phase 2, because new partners can join the Italian activities, and we are happy to provide them, let me say, a test environment where to start playing with the DVB I. And also because, of course, DVB I is evolving, so we need to track what will happen within DVB I in order to see if there are new use cases we are interested in. But also, we are going to start an open commercial trial. So it means that everyone can join this trial. So Mediaset become just one member, one of the entities that are running the trial, and these are the partners which already decided to join. Sorry, to join the trial. It is a commercial trial because a real commercial trial because, for example, for what concern the TV set terminal, you will be able to find them on the market. So they will not be a POC terminal. It is a real product. Okay, once again, okay, this slide is just to remark the very important role of the standard for us. All the requirement, all the activity has been run in full agreement with the reference standard. Of course, of more than the DVB I specification and the HbbTV, we are completely based on specification for what concerns the DVB dash, of course, the target advertisement, and the multicast ABR. So, why HbbTV within DVB I? This is a discussion I also had within Mediaset. The question is DVB I missing something? This is what I have in mind. When we started with the digital television a lot of years ago, we had the MPEG transport stream, which provided the transport layer, and on top of this, there are the DVB SI and PSI specification, which provide the way to provide the final user accessing to these services. Then we discovered that these standards were not enough, so we put on top of them some other use cases based on other standards. For example, the CI and CI Plus module and MHP at the beginning, and then HbbTV. So I think we are in the same situation. We have the DVB I specification, which is based on the transport layer provided by the DVB dash, and the DVB I is a metadata defined in order to create all the stuff to provide the final user access to the dash stream. And then again, we discovered that these specifications are not enough. So we decided to introduce HbbTV specification, DRM specification for the DRM system. And one question, is DVB I perfect? No, it's not perfect. We have to think that the DVB-T born many years ago, and it is still evolving. DVB I born 3 years ago, so it is a baby. It is a running new revision very closely, because during the POC that we are performing in different countries, we found also something that shall be adjusted within the specification. So, where we need the HbbTV, this is our, of course, our focus on this. There are functionalities that the terminal are not in the position to manage at a native level for a lot of reasons. We just list 3 of them. There are technology that are not fully standardized, even if DVB is working on this. For example, the multicast ABR. There are some functionality that depends on the service provider. For example, the how to make monitoring of the quality of services, and also technology. there are also a customization for technology provider, and one of these example is the DRM system. But it is quite important for me also remark the fact that for us is quite important to keep to maintain as much as functionality as possible managed by the terminal level. This is the goal for this is to provide the user a cross service provider user experience, because if you create an HbbTV for some functionality, it is not granted the fact that each service provider will have the same user experience. Here is a list of functionality that we think that is better to maintain at the native level. Of course, the channel creation, this is of course needed, but also channel banner and APG, but also for example, the access to multi-audio and subtitles, because again, the user is used to access to this functionality by means of the remote control, pressing where it is available, the button for the multi-audio on the subtitle. Oops, why don't change? Okay, so this is a diagram that summarizes what I already stated. So it means that we want to maintain at native level all the functionality that are available by the DVB I and DVB functionality, and so letting it accessible by the native UI and UX. And then where we need, where it is, where, let me say, we are obliged to implement because of diversification, we can use the power of HbbTV to solve this issue. Again, the example is related to monitoring, multicast, and DRM. So this is what is now running in Mediaset. Again, Mediaset becomes one of the partners joining the commercial trial, and we created a standalone HbbTV application on broadband instance. It is a type 1.2 application. It means that it is an application controlling media presentation, and we call it a DVB I enabler. This is pills from the service list where you can find something about how we started. Of course, it is everything is related. It is fully in agreement with the standard. So we have a related material tag which point to the application. In this case, we use a PHP service because we need to pass to the application the code of the channel where he started. What is the role of this application? Again, first of all, DRM. This is the reason why we started using HbbTV application. The reason is because different DRM systems provide different mechanisms, and also because we are free with regard to the mechanism for license acquisition, and using an HbbTV application allow us to implement authentication, which is not right now is not possible by means of the native level. Another topic is related to monitoring. First of all, for what concern quality of services, because each service provider is able to use their own library to perform these activities, and also to manage GDPR topics for the future tracking. One of the topic, quite important, we hope to have millions of users accessing DVB I in the near future. So we need to switch to multicast AVR. This is currently not fully covered by the standard, so different ISP provide different implementation. It means that we needed to integrate in our HbbTV application a library provided by such an ISP, and we tested with Telecom Italia, and all the tests went well. So it is already at a very good level of maturity. And last but not least, we already started to analyze what it means to develop on broadband instance what we already developed in broadcast for what concerns the target advertisement. As you know, DVB is working also on this in order to move all the functionality in DVB I scenario. And of course, in this case, we will have a lot of new use cases available because of the fact that we are running on the broadband channel. This is the current situation. What we are already planned. Mediaset has a very good HbbTV application running on DVB terrestrial and satellite, which is called Mediaset Infinity. So having available the HbbTV 2.0.4 core specification, in particular for with the Annex O, our plan is to merge the Mediaset Infinity and what we currently call DVB I enabler, in order to create a unique HbbTV application, let me call it hybrid Mediaset Infinity, that runs over terrestrial, satellite, and internet medium with the life cycle provided by the HbbTV specification. That's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Stefano, for these updates from Italy. Let's move on to Ireland, where Jim is waiting for us with the latest insights on the DVB I activities over in Ireland. And let's see what he's got prepared for us. And they can see the presentation already. We just need your webcam now. That's the Irish DTT platform Saorview. And Jim is the business development manager there from RTE, the public broadcaster in Ireland. There you go.
Good afternoon, and thank you, John, and thank you to the previous presenters. There's some really useful information there. In this presentation, I want to talk about the possible future journey for Saorview. We developed a DVB I proof of concept in the last 6 months. But this is just to examine the potential for DVB I and to consider what route we might take for a next generation product development with Saorview. In addition to which, we want to consider how we can integrate HbbTV into that. Let's just give a bit of context. In the world of Saorview, we see over time, as the rest of the TV world does, evolving audience behaviors. Right now, Saorview is Ireland's free-to-air DTT service. It's owned and managed by RTE, which is Ireland's public service broadcaster. We operate on a horizontal market for devices, and at the moment we're in about 38% of TV homes. The platform itself is well understood. We continually market our availability, and our potential reach to homes is 98% population coverage. We made an initial dive into the hybrid world a few years ago with a product called Saorview Connect, which used actually some of HbbTV technology as a background. But things are moving on. Right now, of course, we can say Saorview audiences are loyal to the brand. Our market size is quite stable, and they're familiar with the linear program guide. But the truth is, of course, IPTV homes are growing. The numbers I'm giving you here are all from the Nielsen establishment survey. So we see a steady growth in IP-only TV homes. There are challenges, of course, external to our market. Spectrum, user expectations are changing, and if we think about the Saorview viewer in Ireland, they want more choice, more channels on the device of their choice. And we're also aware of that pressure on spectrum, and we can anticipate that there will be more pressure as we get closer to 2030. So a couple of, I suppose, societal factors as well come into play. Ireland has traditionally had a large majority of home ownership, individual house ownership, but increasingly, of course, apartments are part of the social spectrum of Ireland. From the Central Statistics Office, they report the growth in apartment completions from 16.5% in 2019 to 30.7% in 2022. In addition to which, in 2019, figures showed that 54% of apartments were rented. Now, what's that got to do with DTT? Well, DTT is received by an aerial, and it's set up so that it's received by a rooftop aerial on a traditional house. So it's going to be harder to reach those new markets and those new types of homes with DTT in the future. And you know, if people are renting more homes as well, the ability to make changes to a rented home can also be limited. Against all this background, Ireland's government has a very strong plan to roll out broadband to all premises, and the intention is to have high-speed access by 2026. There is, in fact, a link to the high-speed broadband map, which is included in the presentation, which we'll share later. So it's very clear to us that whereas things are good right now, we've 38% of the market, we can't expect things to stay the same. And we must migrate to a hybrid future, and that combines broadcast and IP delivery. So just moving on, we've looked at DVB I. As I said, we built our proof of concept. We see growing momentum towards interest in the potential of DVB I, and especially at DVB World, that was really apparent. It was sessions on DVB I were among the most attended. It was reported at DVB World. And just as importantly, the public trials in Italy and Germany have really shown us the way forward, made it very interesting for us. We see the potential there. We see the success being generated in those trials. And other countries' interest as well is making it apparent that DVB I is on a growth trajectory. The trials in Spain and the Catalan region, among others, are encouraging. And we're also encouraged by the idea of a common profile and the work that's being done in Germany on regionalization and in Germany and Italy on DRM. It's also encouraging to see manufacturer involvement, because for Saorview, we will obviously be guided by what happens in the market, in the larger markets. So to see manufacturers growing commitment to DVB I and devices it creates a strong interest for us. DVB I also has the potential to drive audience growth as well. We can imagine a world, for example, if our first step was simply to add IP channels to the existing list of 14 free TV channels and 12 radio stations on Saorview, we could imagine audience growth could be driven directly out of that quite easily. It's you know, when we I suppose just to explain a little bit more, when we launched Saorview Connect, we also launched a mobile application with that, and that application signaled a TV guide. So the biggest criticism we had of that application from consumers was, why can't we just click on those programs and watch them live? So it's clear to us that there is a ready audience for IP delivered service, not just in TV, but beyond it, outside that. We created the Irish proof of concept using the Sophia digital reference application. And it allowed us to create a demo that generated interest among stakeholders and to start conversations around the use of open standards to create an enhanced offering for the Saorview platform. Because really this is what we want to do. We want to create a next generation product. But we also see and we recognize the ease by which the familiar EPG can be enhanced. People are used to our program guide. 38% is, as I say, it's a figure we want to maintain and grow. And so we see the importance of the EPG in that, and how users need not know nor care about how services may be delivered to their TV, whether it's over IP or over broadcast. So it is increasingly clear to us, although we have not yet decided a route forward, it is increasingly clear to us that DVB I offers a fast route to market. And for a next generation offering, we envisage creating a new version of the proof of concept and possibly involving that, creating a small, maybe a small public trial early next year. We have, of course, to consider a number of factors, not least of which there are the regulatory issues that Remo mentioned earlier on. But we've also got to ensure that we have an availability of compatible devices in the marketplace, as well as stakeholder commitment on the broader Saorview platform. Now, all of this leads me to an important point as far as we're concerned. Saorview operates a smart follower strategy. We want to see what happens in broader markets, and rather than create something that's unique to our relatively small market compared to the rest of Europe, we want to ensure that we're working with and alongside those who are developing these technologies, and as I say, for an open market and a horizontal market. It is, as I say, important that we don't create something unique that will not be implemented by manufacturers. That's why the open standards are so important. Just as importantly, we see the potential for, in terms of a project perspective, for creating of incremental product development. As I mentioned earlier on, if we were to start with something as simple as extra channels on a DVB I platform, that would be an additional benefit. We could also signal additional services in the HbbTV world. We could signal, for example, the availability of players, and we've already shown that we can play out the RTE player on its own EPG list, on its own EPG setting. So just to get onto the subject of HbbTV, because this is really what we need to think about and drive towards in the future. We already know that HbbTV is well established in Europe, and from HbbTV's own website, we can see some very interesting figures in terms of market penetration. Germany, Italy, and the UK, all of a significant number of devices that can receive HbbTV at some level. We also see the potential to add significant value with HbbTV in combination with DVB I. So from that point of view, version 2.04 of the HbbTV standard is quite interesting. The reason I say that is because one of the things that has been mentioned as part of that specification development is the ability to signal broadcast independent applications. So if we're to look at a hybrid TV future, those are the kinds of enhancements that make it possible to consider a good marriage of DVB I right now and HbbTV into the future in terms of an incremental product development path for Saorview. So where does all this leave us? Now, this diagram, I'm going to give credit to the person who created the original version of it, who's Richard Waghorn. Richard is RTE's Chief Technology, well, sorry, not just Chief Technology Officer, Director of Technology and Transformation and Operations. Richard had conceived this diagram as a means of visualizing where our product, the path of our product development. So adding DVB I as a service layer over the essential DVB-T service, which we currently run right now, adding features to that over time, and then adding HbbTV to give us personalization, targeted advertising, content discovery, HbbT applications, enhanced user interface to really sort of bring Saorview into the modern world in terms of the smart TV, which now, of course, we know very well in Ireland that smart TV, as is most of the rest of Europe, occupies in excess of 97% of current sales volumes. So the market is growing and is already there and is potentially very interesting to us. I'd like to stop there now because I want to try and keep this as brief as possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this update from Ireland. All very interesting, and we can see that from the feedback we get in the Q&A. So I'd like to welcome everybody back to the screen now for a brief Q&A session, and you can see the questions on the screen straight away. We've got one question that came in on LinkedIn where we advertised the webinar, and I think Stefano would like to respond to that. The question is, which standards will apply to do television broadcasting over IP multicast? So that's not unicast, it's multicast. Will that be DVB I, MABR? And if you haven't heard of that, it's the standard is called DVB multicast adaptive bitrate. Stefano.
Yes, as I stated during the presentation, we performed a lot of tests, successful tests running multicast ABR. As I said, we still have not a complete standard for this from DVB, so we need an HbbTV application on top of DVB I to implement a library provided by a particular internet service provider. We collaborated with Telecom Italia using their solution, which is very close to the current state of the standard. Telecom is also working very hardly on the DVB table to complete the standard. And yeah, we will start the trial in September with IP, because we will have a small number of users, but I think that everybody are aware that in the future we will need to switch to multicast ABR.
Okay, thank you. That's a clear answer. Since we're running out of time, Remo, you can see there's two questions that are for you. Maybe you can pick one of the two which you'd like to respond most to.
Yeah, just very short. Basically, ARD has some history in HbbTV based services. We are already using some technology we call internet link services, where we distribute ARD channels in areas over DTT, where the DTT, this is my dog, where we don't really broadcast the video signal, just an HbbTV application. And the dog was sleeping and dreaming. And yeah, and to the regions, WDR, NDR, even RBB, BR, they all got regionalization and regional services. If somebody's looking for a good example, WDR has a big offer of regional services, and which we already implemented in the pilot.
Okay, so the German ARD broadcasters are, of course, familiar with all of these regional differentiations, and they've been doing that with HbbTV ILS services, and now, of course, that can be carried on in DVB I, if I understood that correctly, and you'll be running some more tests of that probably in phase 2 of the project. Two last questions, maybe one for Jim, one for Stefano. How can we convince, probably one of the main questions of all of them, how can we convince manufacturers to rely on the new technology? Who would like to go first?
Well, I can say that we cannot, of course, force manufacturer to join the DVB I world, but I think that we are in the same scenario as when digital terrestrial started. So we have a new technology which can provide a lot of improvement to the user. So there is no particular topic to use for let the manufacturer enter this display. Of course, one important thing is that we need to have a lot of broadcasters starting to join the DVB I. So this will let me say the topic role. If a lot of broadcasters start deploying their own services within with the DVB I technology, I think that TVSet shall follow this.
And as we remember from your presentation, DVB I is still a baby, so there's lots of room to grow and to develop further as with all the babies. So it's still an infant standard and it's work in progress. Of course, that's where we're running all these pilots at the moment. Jim, a question on the regulators in DVB I deployment. Is that an important force to consider?
I believe it's something that must be considered, and I'm aware that it's already being considered by certain regulators. For DVB I, what it essentially means is an enhancement to the existing electronic program guide. In a DVB-R world, for example, you could see us going from, say, 14 television channels to any number of TV and IP channels combined. So in that kind of environment, there will have to be some rules around channel prominence and genres, etc. And I suppose the best term to use is to be seen to be fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory. So I think there's something for regulators in that to of necessity get involved, especially in a regulated environment and especially in the world of public service broadcasting. So it's something that we in Ireland will actively consider. And I believe in other jurisdictions that is going to happen as well.
Yeah, so again, it's nothing new. We've had that before, a regulation regarding channel listings and non-discriminatory applications and user interfaces and so on. And Remo even mentioned the German public services list, the public, the public value list, as it's called in Germany, which is regulated by the media authorities to make sure that this is a balanced listing of all the channels with public value across Germany. So again, this I think was really interesting insights by all of you. I'd like to thank the speakers for their presentations. The presentations will be made available for download from the HbbTV website later today. Everyone who registered for watching the webinar will receive the link to the recording of the webinar and the presentations later on today. Thanks for your interest. And of course, I'd like to mention, as usual, the big event coming up at the end of this year, November the 28th and November the 29th, the HbbTV Symposium and Awards in Italy this year in Naples. Great Mediterranean setting you can see here. And of course, be sure to note that date in your calendar. And it's going to be a really important event. And of course, as I can see from the planning that's going on, DVB I will play an important role in that as well. As usual, we welcome your suggestions for further webinars. Please email them to webinar@hbbtv.org. And all the latest updates on HbbTV related issues can, of course, be seen on the Twitter and LinkedIn websites of the HbbTV Association. I'd like to also thank DVB Project for their support of this webinar through supporting the session in their communities and among their members. Thank you very much again. I hope you all have a great summertime, and we'll be back in the autumn. Until then, take care. See you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.